The other theme in Fahrenheit 451 that resonated for me was the idea that as a novelist and an author and a writer, part of your job is to occasionally expose readers to things that make them a little uncomfortable, maybe even a little depressed. So in my first novel, God Bless Cambodia, novel I'm writing now, my one-man show, there's a theme that's a little embarrassing. It's kind of uncomfortable to even talk about, and the theme is loneliness. So if you're feeling lonely, that means you don't have a relationship, or your relationship's not very good, or you don't have friends, or your friends aren't very good, or there's something abnormal about you. So this little piece I'm going to do now, the narrator is reflecting on loneliness. Every year around this time, I ask myself the same question. Why am I still single? So this year I turned to the internet for some answers. And the first thing I found was something called the fish theory. You see, fish are not attracted to bait that is healthy and moving smoothly through the water. Fish are attracted to bait that jumps, quivers, and zigzags due to some type of distress. Apparently, I'm part fish and go for erratic, ziggy women who have moods that flop around like a mackerel on a hot sidewalk. Over the years, I've dated so-called stable women, but I just never got hooked. In my 30s, I dated a stable woman named Karen, but after a few months, I wanted to break up. I was tired of her constant cheerfulness, which struck me as phony, and her moods, unlike mine, never zigged or zagged. But I was also tired of being alone, so I went to see my therapist, Dr. Moody. He suggested I stick with her and sit with the discomfort. But being with Karen was like trying to see how long I could hold my breath. When she put her arm around me, I felt nothing. After sex, we had nothing to talk about. Worse still, she was a nice person, and I felt really guilty. Every week I'd go into Moody's office. Can I break up with her now? And he'd say, just give it another week. But my attraction to volatile women doesn't really explain why I'm still single. Lots of crazy people marry. Judging by the divorce rate and friends I know who have tied the knot, marriage is no barometer of mental health. But in my darkest hours, like those Saturday nights when I'm at the movies by myself and sitting in the handicap seat, I have to wonder, what's the matter with me? The valency theory. You see, certain atoms have the ability to bond with lots of different types of atoms. Other atoms are less valent and can only bond with a few types of atoms. Apparently, I'm the less valent type and can only bond with certain kooky, volatile atoms which also seem to seek me out. When we do connect, the result is an unstable, combustible molecule that eventually blows up. Case in point, another case in point, Ricky. I met Ricky at a barbecue in Cambridge about 10 years ago. She had straight shoulder-length hair and a barbed wire tattoo around her arm. The tiny lines around her mouth indicated that she was probably about my age. Now, this barbecue was in Cambridge, so it was a vegetarian, gender-neutral, low-carbon footprint affair. Now, I noticed Ricky because she had brought a huge, bloody porterhouse. It looked like a prop for a slasher movie. I watched as she wrestled the thing onto the grill. She glanced at me. She glanced again. I gave her my one and only pickup line. So, are you having fun? As she talked, I looked into her eyes. Looked like she'd been laughing, or crying, or laughing and crying. I looked deeper still and could sense a disturbance, an electrical storm. I imagined her brain cells flashing, twitching, and jumping like herring being chased by a large carnivore. I wanted to be that carnivore. On our first date, she showed up an hour late, wearing Ray-Bans on an overcast day. Apologies for my tardiness, she said. I was up late last night at a Caribbean party. I was the only white person there. She had my attention. We went rollerblading. At one point, I pulled ahead of her. From behind me, I heard a loud ka-thunk, followed by an "ah, crap!" Ricky had slammed into a parked car. Now I was hooked. We bonded hard and fast, but after a few months, we hit that inevitable plateau and began arguing. Then we crossed the 50% mark with the bad times outnumbered the good ones. We made an appointment with Dr. Moody. So what seems to be the problem? Oh, he's a neat freak. He's a hypochondriac. He has the worst taste in clothes and music, and he teases me all the time. Please medicate him. He's mentioned the teasing before. There you go, taking his side. That's the type of patriarchal attitude that used to get women locked up in mental hospitals. I knew this was a stupid idea. After the session, I called the shrink. Should I bail on this relationship? You know I can't give you advice like that. Let me rephrase. If I said I wanted to bail, would you suggest that I stick with it for another week? Probably not.